YouTube podcast world. What's up, family? You already know the name pays and plays. It is Good Friday, October 20th. I hope all is well for everybody, man. Listen, hit the like button and subscribe, pass the content around, man. Yeah, self-explanatory, man. Come on. The people that watch this shit, and even if it's a little people, y'all can all like this, right? I think that's only right. Look out for your boy. We will have some teaser picks. We will have some leans in the NFL, some leans in college too. We got college plays. We got NFL plays. And you know what? Let's just have a general conversation and talk. Since we're talking about casinos and getting money from them. Casinos in the state of Michigan, pay these people, man. Pay the UAW. Pay all these people, bro. Y'all make millions, man. People ain't even ask for much. They just want a better sense of living, man. Think about it. The company would keep going soaring up if you do that. If you pay your workers right, your company would still be booming. And then, we ain't got to worry about all the other bullshit that goes on, man. Because some people, lucky for me, I'm good, but some people are struggling, man, and trying to maintain in this world right now with this economy. We're not going to get into all the other shit that's going on in the world, but pay these people. What happens yesterday, we found out about Michigan is under new investigation with cheating, I guess, or stealing play. It's not shocking, bro. It's 2023. Motherfuckers been doing it. It's just that Schiano, I remember Greg Schiano was on that interview, halftime interview against Michigan, and he said a slick comment, and that's when I knew off rip, I'm like, they probably doing some cheating shit. When he said that, for some reason, I instantly fucking realized it. I was like, I think Michigan's going to probably be into some shit. It's not shocking, bro. I think they'll probably wait to the season and then they'll fucking like do whatever, because this might be the best chance for Michigan to actually win the national championship. And I mean, I know we're all tired of Georgia winning it, but I think college football world will want to see something different for once too. But this all goes on right during rivalry week, right, against Michigan State. And I believe they were like they're 24-point favorites. I'm just going to say Michigan State covers, Michigan wins, because Michigan they haven't covered a game against Michigan State in a while. I think even last year when the Big House, they fucking didn't cover and Michigan State held on. I see it because it's a rivalry game, man. I'm not saying Michigan State will beat Michigan, but with all this going on too, this is going to be the storyline, and everyone's going to loom. It's going to loom around their heads. So I don't bet Michigan games, but I will leave Michigan State in the 24.5 points. That's a lot of fucking points, bro. Too much points. But since we're talking about that, man, it's just, listen, man. Like I always say, shop your other books and all that. I even been using crypto for some of my bets. Well, I might make a how-to video on how to bet using crypto and how to transport and all that. I might do that one day. That might be an interesting thing to show people that don't know how to use it. But all right, enough of all of that. Let's get into the college football picks. We'll start with their first. Arkansas. Yes, Arkansas Razorbacks, the Hogs, -6.5 at home. It's a 12 o'clock noon game. They play against Mississippi State. Listen, ignore the record with Arkansas. I'm going to tell you the gauntlet of games they played. They played Alabama last week. We saw they were like 20-point dogs. They were down. They came all the way back and lost by, I think, 6 points. So, yeah, you played LSU. You played Texas A&M. I mean, you played 3 hard powerhouse teams in the SEC. And they were all on the road. This is your first home game in a while. You got Mississippi State coming in, who's limping in defensively. KJ Jefferson is a guy. When he balls out, Arkansas balls out. And you're playing against a team with Mississippi State. They're like one of the lowest teams defensively. They can't stop anybody. I expect Sanders and KJ Jefferson to go off on this game. So go ahead and give me the Razorbacks, -6.5. Let's get it. Next game, this is a 3:30 game. We have USF taking on UConn. I got UConn on the money line as a slight underdog. It's kind of like chasing my bets because it looks like I'm going to lose this one already with UConn not covering the 4.5 wins. I mean, they could, but yeah, I'm just trying to hedge at this point. And hedging is important with your bets sometimes. You know, I've been doing it with Ohio. They fucking lost last week, right? And you see how that shit goes. I've been doing it with Colorado. So it's just kind of an example when it comes to those regular seasons wins. I kind of chase between them also. But this one, man, look, USF has given up a lot in the passing game. UConn can actually pass the ball efficiently. They had a big win against Rice, which I'm kicking myself in my foot for not taking them as a 9-point underdog and actually outright to win. This game here, USF, bro, I mean, they can't run the ball. UConn can actually stop the run. I know it is a game that people will not give a fuck about, but I look at underrated games, and this is an underrated game right here. I'm going to go with UConn to win this game outright. Jim Moore, let's get it. Lastly, for college football, as far as a total bet, we'll talk about leans and stuff. Houston plus 23.5. They play at home against Texas. And if you didn't know, this is the same Houston team that won on the Hail Mary against West Virginia last week. Texas coming off, I think it's coming off a bye. Kind of pissed off. This is kind of a low key. This is the one game they play in the Big 12, but kind of an in-state rival, I guess, for the year. They play at Houston. And Houston, you know what, at home is very productive. 23.5 points to me is a lot of points. And Daniel Holgorsen is familiar with Texas. He's familiar with all these big-time programs in the South. And I just have a feeling that they got, Donovan? They got my man Donovan Smith playing quarterback. Texas Tech transfer. Yeah, man, they got him playing. Listen, if you watch Texas, they played against Rice and Wyoming. And you know what both of those teams have in common? They covered the spread against Texas, and it was at Texas. So now you got them coming to your crib. I know people don't care about trends, but Houston is 3-1 at home. So you expect them to actually be kind of competitive. If it's a 40 to, let's see, if it's like a 40 to like 28 game, you still cover. Even if it was a 40 and 20 game, you still cover because you lost by 20. So you still won. That's just how I would look at that one. So I'm going to go with Houston plus 23.5. Now we'll talk about some of the leans I have that might be interesting. We'll go with Texas Tech and BYU over 51.5 points. Some is 51, some is 51.5. I've seen some at 52 points. So whatever better number you get, if you see 51, take that one. Both have mid defenses, but both can score. It's going to be at BYU also. So I expect a lot of points with that thin-ass air. Texas Tech, it's almost the kind of game when they played at Wyoming, and Texas Tech was up, and then they let Wyoming came back because their defense is that bad, Texas Tech. I kind of see it playing out into that factor. That is 51 to me is not a lot of points in college football now. We're talking like high 60s and 70s, like you see the Pac-12. Then we're talking. And by the way, Pac-12 to me has been the best conference. And we'll talk about this game. I will have a slight lean to Utah. They're +7 against USC. I know everyone talks about the revenge factor, and USC lost 2 times to them last year. Yeah, and the thing with Utah is their offense isn't good. And you can kiss that Cam Rising return this year goodbye. He's going to probably redshirt this season and play next year. But their defense is legit, and that's the only reason why I feel like the +7 is a lot. USC don't win. They don't win blowout games, bro. I think that Colorado game showed it, right? When they were up big and then they let Colorado come back miraculously. It's really just the defense, right? We saw how Notre Dame took advantage of that. I'm not knocking Caleb Williams. I still think he's a phenomenal quarterback, but in this situation, listen, Utah needs to go to what I think they're going to do is run the ball and play defense. They got 2 running backs, and also they got a guy that's a safety that played running back in high school that's been playing the last couple games. He reminds me of Shaq Thompson. If you know about the NFL, he was in Washington. He was a running back and a linebacker. which I think that's why his injuries has been so bad now. He's always hurt. He's always having a shoulder injury, if you realize that. I think from playing running back all them years and playing linebacker, I think eventually that fucking wore and tore because Shaq Thompson has been hurt the last few years off shoulder injuries. But we're going to, outside of that though, Utah, if they run the ball and play defense, my mindset is you're going to slow the game down and let the clock tick because there's no more clock stoppage at first downs no more. That has changed. So I expect a lot of clock running in this game. And if Utah can score a couple touchdowns, let's say if they score about at least 2. If they score at least about 17, 20 points, right, 2 touchdowns and a couple of field goals, I think they can be in the game. It could be a 27-20 game and you just win by a push. Some books, they give you a push. Some books, you give you the points. It depends on what book you have. But I see it being I don't see it being a blowout game unless Utah turns the ball over. That's the thing. It's all about turnovers. And you know how college is, man. One drastic change and that shit shifts. Crazy. Now, let's get into the NFL. We have official bet, we have a lean, and then we got a teaser. So, a couple leans in the teaser. So, we'll wrap it up. Let's start with the official bet, Cleveland Browns -3. They take on the Colts. It's at Indianapolis. And look, both teams have solid defenses, both of them. The factor I'm looking to is definitely going to be the offense. You got Deshaun Watson coming back. For what it looked like, he's coming back. That's why the number was 3, because I saw it was at 2 earlier in the week. Gardner Minshew, listen, I don't knock this guy, but I say Gardner Minshew, for some reason, it's just me where I realize he'll have one hell of a game, which the game I picked was Colts +8.5 against the Ravens. He had one hell of a game, and then eventually he comes back to reality. We saw that against the Jaguars, which they, defense is okay, but they're not Cleveland defense. Cleveland is historically breaking records. I think they only have 1,000 yards of total yards on them this year so far. That's some shit, 1,000 yards in total, right? And, this game, man, I feel like if you're Cleveland, this is what I think they're going to do. Jim Schwartz is a fucking mastermind. He's going to play man-to-man. And he's going to go all in on the run. I respect what Zach Moss has been doing this year. Jonathan Taylor, you can't ignore that. But I feel like they're going to stop the run. And who's going to handle Garrett? Who's going to handle Davius Smith? The linebackers are top tier. You can have Denzel Ward and Newsome by themselves. They can handle themselves. I mean, the receiver core, Pittman is maybe the only main concern. I think Downs has been pretty solid too, but Pittman is really your number one guy, right? I haven't seen too much of Alec Pierce this year, so that's kind of a concern for the Colts. But I see it's not going to be a pretty game. It might be a 20-13 game. It might be a 20-10 game. I can see it being like that, 20-10. I still think it goes under, right? I think it's like 39.5. Listen, these unders, the over-unders for this week has been crazy because because the unders went on a whole crazy 2-1 run last week. So because of that, all the over-unders is all fucked up. I'm seeing 30s that I haven't seen 30s in any fucking football game. Like a constant 30s. Like I done seen 5-6 games in the 30s. That's some shit. But Cleveland Browns win the cover. Let's get it. Now, this is 2 leans, 2 individual leans. We'll start since it's still Sunday. Seattle Seahawks at -7.5. It's tempting. If it wasn't a hook, I would have took the -7. But they play the Cardinals. And how many times do I tell y'all about the Cardinals? Listen, first half, they're going to be in the game. I'm not going to even lie on you. They're going to be probably in the game the first half. It's the fourth quarter is when they start kind of drifting apart, bro. Like when Homer has, when you see Homer with the little, going through the bushes and shit, leaning back. It's like that, bro. They start fading away. And I was kind of impressed with what I saw with the Seahawks last week, even though I was going against them with the Bengals. I was very surprised with what I've seen. The defense played pretty fucking lights out. Weatherspoon, to a certain degree, I'm gonna give you that. You know, you had some. You're a rookie, bro, but in this game, Hollywood Brown's probably the best receiver, and Zach Ertz, they're probably the two best receivers, right? We still don't know about Connor playing. If he's not playing, I wouldn't. I mean, I almost talking myself into betting Seahawks, but I need to see how that number is before kickoff. But definitely a good teaser option, because the Geno Smith quarterback at 7.5 is a lot of points to me. That's like kind of what I'm thinking about is really Geno Smith. The receiver core we played pretty good. The running backs is pretty solid. The defense is pretty solid. It's really on Geno. That's just kind of how I really look at it. But that's a lean, all right? Second lean is a Monday Night Football game. You got the Niners taking on my Vikings, and I got the Niners 6.5. I've seen some at 7. So I guess it's get the better number. If you see 6.5, take the 6.5. The thing is, though, is it's all about the injuries, bro. And like the way the NFL is now, they don't tip. It looked like a player is optimistic to play, and then you find out they don't play. Right? I mean, that's why I got burnt with Deshaun Watson weeks ago. We all thought he was playing, and then right as I'm watching the London game at halftime, oh, Deshaun Watson's out for the game. What? You feel me? That just throws out a bunch of shit. And with Christian McCaffrey injury, you got Debo, he's injured. Trent Williams is injured. I mean, bro, but the Vikings, though, the one thing about it is you're supposed to fade Kirk Cousins during prime time. I think this is the best time to fade him because primetime Kirk never shows up. They got lucky to win against the Bears last week, even without Justin Fields being hurt, bro. They got lucky because I think they only scored 12 points, right? All right, come on, bro. But I trust the Niners team to bounce back from a big-ass L like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I think. And we'll talk about one game that people have been talking to me about and asking my opinion about. So I'm going to talk about it. Lions and Ravens game. Now, this game here, I did say Ravens to win the cover. I'm still going to stick to that answer. But this is my thought. This is my doubts for the Lions. Having no Montgomery is going to be an issue. And don't say it's not going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue because he's the only real running back that can run north and south. And you can run in between, the B gap, run between the A gap, and there's no problem. I think Gibbs can have potential to be good, but they keep running him inside like a dive right in the middle. Bro, Gibbs is an East and West type running back. Now, do they come up with that plan? I don't know. I don't know because I haven't seen it. Every time I've seen Gibbs play, it's been right in the fucking middle every play. And if you're Baltimore, you can feed off that because they have a good run defense. Don't slouch on it. This defense is underrated. They may not look good defensive line on paper because they got old ass or Davion Clowney. They got a beat up David Njoku. But I always talk about Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. And you got Kyle Hamilton that leaks in that tackle box. They find ways to make plays. I expect a lot of Jared Goff to be throwing the ball a lot. So I will say secondary is weak. So you have opportunities in them holes to make plays. It's just really on the offense for the Ravens, right? Because there's so many games where they should have won, like Pittsburgh. They should have easily blew out Pittsburgh if it wasn't for the receivers dropping the ball here and there. I think that's the biggest test for the Lions would be the secondary because, you don't have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And, yeah, don't get it wrong, Jacobs has been stepping up. But now we get to see, you deal with Zay Flowers. You're dealing with OBJ and Bateman, which those two guys last week had an okay game, which is a lot better than what they've been playing. Zay Flowers has pretty much been the main guy that can make something shake. It's just really the run game with the Ravens is also a concern because besides Lamar Jackson, they don't have a running back for real, for real. I mean, he's a running back by committee, but I think Lamar Jackson makes plays with his legs. So if I were you guys, check into Lamar Jackson rushing props. I said it last week, and it definitely hit. If you watched, when they played the Titans, right? It hit. So I think this would be a good play because I wouldn't be shocked if I see a lot of RPOs. That might be what they need against the Lions because the Lions defense has been massively improved. But for this game, I still would take the Ravens because I don't know about the Lions on the offensive end as far as running the ball. You're going to need to run the ball in this game. And I don't know if they're going to make gives East and West because they so stick to running up the gut. And you don't have a guy to do that now if Montgomery's not playing. But all that being said, though, I have my teaser for the week. I'm going to post it up right here. As you're going to see, we had the San Francisco 49ers from -7 to 0. Yes, to 0. We got the Seahawks from -7.5 to fucking a point, pretty much. And we're going to have, last but not least, yes, I'm doing it. We're going to have the Buffalo Bills -1.5. Yes, from 8.5 to -1.5. That's what we're going to do. 3-team teaser. Not too many teaser options I like, because I don't really like a lot of underdogs this week. I'm just going to be honest with you as far as NFL. But as always, guys, continue to hit that like button, subscribe, pass the content around. As always, man, let's get this money out here.